But take me to dinner first. Sippers, welcome to this episode of the Tea With Me podcast with me, Shane Todd. It's a nice time. We're in the studio. Came to the studio last week, tried to record an episode by myself, tried about 6-7 times. Then in the end, I was just staring at myself back in the webcam, which I've done before, with just a feeling of disgust at myself. I was like, I just can't get into it. I looked at my hair. I was like, it's nearly coming over the ears. So I had to get a haircut. I got a haircut today. I feel good. I'm looking at two masked up nerds right now who believe in COVID. I'm looking at Dan and Mike who think there's some sort of pandemic going on. Fucking weirdos. And one of them is sitting deep in the shadows with his legs crossed, like he's waiting for me to audition with some sort of burlesque act, you know, so I can get gigs in his, I don't know, like private gentleman's club, and all I can see is a reflection of his glasses and the reflection from his penis. And then straight ahead of me there's another guy who just can't keep eating sweets. He can't stop eating sweets. Every week in the podcast, it looks like I'm being filmed by an 8-year-old boy on his break from school because he's just stuffing confectionery into his face. He's eating a block at the minute that should be shared between, I don't know, a village, but he's eating it all himself in his fat face. He loves it. He absolutely loves it. And it's melting into his hands, and he's got chocolate all over his mouth. And it's a nice time. And these are just the guys that I do the podcast with. And it's a good time because honestly, when I tried to do the episode by myself, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it because I thought if somebody comes in by mistake, it's weird to just be filming yourself doing a podcast. You know, it's weird. So I need these shadowy face stuffer guys around me, and it's a good time, you know. And it is definitely interesting to be in a room with guys whose views on COVID are completely parallel to mine. You know, these guys are taking precautions, masks, face hand wipes, all that kind of stuff. I, like the rest of the population, know that COVID was set up to stop the 12th of July from happening. So if you don't think that, you're crazy. Well, hey, real talk for a second, right? And by the way, real talk isn't like some new feature I'm going to be doing, right? But why is everybody acting? You know the way everybody's like, you're being muzzled. The people are being muzzled. These masks are used being muzzled like wee dogs by the government. I don't think that sounds bad. You know what I mean? Because you know, plenty of people like wearing a muzzle. You know, and people are like, they're keeping you at home and all. They're keeping you at home so that you don't go out, and they want to keep everybody in their homes. Amazon Prime, Netflix. Home's great. Home's definitely better than outside because when you're outside, you can get shot on by a bird. You can't do that in the house. You know, and people as well are like, oh, you know, they're just trying to stop you traveling. I don't know if everyone's attitude of travel's totally changed. And we now have this romanticised idea of, oh, when you go to Belfast International Airport, oh, and you skip off into the sunshine. It's not like that. You've got 2.5 hours in between of just walking around the airport. What about when you empty your pockets and there's a big queue and they're rushing you through and you're like, oh, and you can't get your pogs into your pocket or whatever you had. You know, if it's Mike, it's loads of chocolate. You know, he's like, Mike brings through so much chocolate, it sets a metal detector off. And they're like, it's just chocolate, but you have so much of it that it's come to our attention that you might be smuggling some in. I was going to say something really disgusting, never won't. But everyone has this romanticised idea of travel and shit. I mean, being in a different place is good, but the travel's so bad. So I think all this is good. They're muzzling us, okay. Good, that'll be comfy in my mouth. They're keeping you in your house. Oh, indoors is great. You know, they're stopping travel. Good. Because if it was sunny all the time, you'd never leave here. You'd never leave here. And anybody who says that is a fucking lunatic. If it was like this all the time, you'd never leave. It's nice one day in May. So we're having a good time, but I would leave because if I leave, then I'll not be around people going, it's like I saw a time you wouldn't leave. And it's all people say I always have a really fat neck and fat chin, even if they're not fat people. It's like I saw a time you never leave. Fuck off. Loads I want to get through, loads I want to talk about, some stuff I want to watch. Okay, here's the thing, we're moving the podcast into 2020. We're trying to springboard into 2021, and we are going to be watching videos on the podcast as we go. All right, I don't know how that's going to work, but I'm going to assume that it'll be fine. And the first thing to kick us off that I want to watch is something that I got sent. Now, this is somebody that called in to a local radio show. And it's an old woman. I hope that's not offensive to whoever it was to say that. It was an old woman who phoned a local radio phone in, and she wants to have her say on COVID. She's trying to make a point, and I don't know if I agree with the sentiment exactly, but let's have a listen. So this genuinely was a call that happened, I think, on BBC Radio Foyle. This is a genuine call. Here it is.
It's felt 20 years ago. I don't care what anybody says. I think at the end of the Troubles, Kathleen, we all felt, we kind of all breathed a wee sort of sigh of relief, and you thought, jeepers, we're maybe getting somewhere. I think this year's been a bit mad, hasn't it, all told?
Well, it's just to see, it's so tragic. This, see, during the Troubles, you might have got shot or blown up, but you didn't get the COVID,
Right, maybe if we just go from the start, which is...
It's felt 20 years ago. I don't care what anybody says. I think at the end of the Troubles, Kathleen, we all felt, we kind of all breathed a wee sort of sigh of relief, and you thought, jeepers, we're maybe getting somewhere. I think this year's been a bit mad, hasn't it all?
Now, Kathleen, I mean, the guy's right, you know what I mean? Mark Patterson, he's 100% right. Hey, it has been a mad year. It's fair to say it's been a mad year. We're getting closer to 100 subscribers on Patreon, COVID. I don't know what else has happened, but things have happened. And Kathleen has phoned in to make this point. So she hasn't just blurted this out. She has had this thought and then been like, this needs a medium. I need radio for this. And I mean, I don't know if I get her point.
Well, it's just to see, it's so tragic.
Yes, good start.
See, during the Troubles, you might have got shot or blown up, but you didn't get the COVID,
Now, the thing is, first of all, there are people who do yearn for the Troubles. There are older people who are like, bring it back. For example, probably guys who ran businesses replacing windows. That was the I would say the golden age in window replacement. But Kathleen's point there is that yes, there were risks during the Troubles, and you did get, in her own words, blown up or killed, but you didn't get COVID. But I mean, I don't get the point there where she's like, listen, you died, but you didn't die with you didn't die without your sense of taste lost. She's like, you didn't. She's like, you got killed during the Troubles, definitely. But here's the point: you didn't have a fever when that happened. I love that so much. I love that she is just such a nice old lady who just wants a little bit of the Troubles back. You know what I mean? Like when you miss something, like like a family dog, like a pet, and you're like, oh, do you remember? Do you remember Rover when he would run about here? Do you remember? I remember the time he went missing and he hadn't actually left the house at all. He was under wee Jimmy's bed. Do you remember? And Kathleen's sitting in the house being like, do you remember the UVF? Do you remember? Do you remember when they would take you from your house? They would take you down an alleyway. Do you remember that time they took me? Do you remember that time I was selling E's? I was selling E's from a stall out the front of the house, and the boys came round and they says, Kathleen, Let's go. And they did. They put a bit of lead into both knees. But the important thing is there was no COVID. And that is a thing older people do. They put an F in instead of a V. COVID. Yes, there was paramilitary murders every day, but there was not COVID. Let's get back to it. I mean, we did the live Patreon podcast last night, but if you're not a Patreon subscriber, you won't hear it for a couple of weeks. But we're not talking about that on the Troubles, but we were talking about how, you know, rioting, the Troubles, sectarianism is very much a summer sport. You know, it's very much it thrives in good conditions because nobody is really committed to it. Like a lot of people will say they are. They've got the tattoos. They're singing all the songs, you know, and they're like, we're going out to do a protest here and we're going to attack the police. Yeah, because it's early July. Would those same fellas get up on a crisp December morning and go down to the interface? No, they would not.
There's a reason the 11th and 12th of July are in July.
100%. 100%. Like, it's not, because people go, like, Americans come over and they're like, why do you guys why the 11th, what's the cultural significance of the 11th and 12th of July? And boys are like, it's fucking roasting. It's roasting. And the boys can wear shorts. You know, and that's another thing, like, I yearn to just see a little bit of that, you know, to see an angry loyalist in a pair of shorts, a pair of Adidas Gazelles, and with his top off, you know. And I think we should. I never want to stir up trouble ever, obviously, because it's irresponsible. At the same time, I think with the 12th and all this year, and like marching season, the riots, the counter riots, all that, I think this year, if we get to do it, let's turn it up a notch. If we're gonna do it, let's fucking do it. If you're like a reformed guy who's like, oh, that was the old life, I left it behind, I've got grandkids now, you know, mate, no, get them minded, and this July, get back out there. And if you're a guy on the other side being like, I didn't want them marching down the street, but now I've learned respect, I've learned tolerance, I've learned that, you know, we're just brought up slightly differently, but people should be able to walk wherever they want. No, get back out there and say, over my dead body, and you start throwing things, and let's just bring it back. I heard a story about somebody who like was linked to being like a rioter a couple of years ago, well, like a few years ago. People were like, oh, he's a rioter. I don't know if he did, but I do know that somebody I know knew him and was about. So here's the thing. There's this guy, right? And I know a guy who knows this guy. And this guy has been accused of being a rioter before. And my mate did not confirm or deny this, but did say that he was talking to the guy years before the guy got like well known, and he said that the guy goes, the guy shows up with like to this guy's house with like 8 bottles of Budweiser, and the guy goes, "What's the beer for?" And the other guy goes, "Because you can drink them and then you can throw them." And honestly, that is one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard in my entire life. Like, that's a double win on the Budweiser, you know what I mean? Drop a Bud, throw it. You know, you're not just picking up empties, or you're not like going to buy a carry out and sitting empty in it to go to the riot. He was enjoying himself in the run up to it. I drink it, I throw it. You know, it is recycling in a way, because a lot of the guys were drinking bottles, binning them, and then finding bottles from somewhere else using double the bottles. These guys are like, no, don't be binning them. I'll be using them tomorrow. So, I don't know if that was true, but I really enjoyed the way it was told, and the guy who told me didn't have a reason to lie, so I think it maybe did happen. But let's just knock it all in the head now. Actually, do you know what? I've had to think about it. Let's knock it in the head. The Troubles, all that kind of stuff. No, let's knock it in the head. Let's have a day, like the Purge. Let's have a day where you can really say what you think, because that's what we're scared to do nowadays. Even more so with COVID, we're scared to say what we think. We're muzzled. I say permanently we keep the masks on, but one day, and let me pick a date off the top of my head. 12th of July. We take the masks off and you can say whatever you want. Imagine, can we have a social media purge? Can we have a day where you can go on and just post whatever you want and you don't have to stop yourself and be like, oh, I might go to jail for this or whatever, you know? Can we, let's say some words that have not been uttered in a long time, but no one would take offense. Let's bring it back. Dan, is there any words you want to bring back? Say it and we'll beep it. No, I'm joking. I mean, here's the thing, right? Everyone has used every word. You've used every word at some point, but the test of your character is how long ago was from the last time you said it. You know, it's like AA meetings. It's like, how long are you sober? Like, you're never truly like totally PC, but you're working towards it, and you're like, listen, it's been 600 days since I've touched a slang word. You know, I've never said an offensive word, but a lot of people. In fact, Big Mike, just before we recorded, I said, "Are we good to go?" And he said yes, and then referred to me as something that I can't repeat, but let's just say there was an Asian element to it. I'm only joking. He didn't. I couldn't hear what he said. He had so much sweet. He had popping candy in his mouth, jelly babies, licorice, all sorts. I mean, Mike is like a professional cameraman. You know what I mean? He's a video maker. This is his job, and he, like, to be honest, like, so Mike has a van for like getting round to shoots and stuff, but he has like no earthly possessions, because anytime he gets paid from a job, he just goes straight to the newsagents. He goes straight to the newsagents. The guy goes, "What can I get you?" And Mike goes, "Listen, the back doors of the van are open. Start carting the stuff in." And he gets paid. He gets bonbons and American hard gums, and he's just a real sweets guy. I remember there's a sweet van. I don't know if it's still there. As in like a sweetie shop van, not like it has a spoiler. At Brunswick, what's that place? Brunswick Square? What do you call the place? Where Little Italy is. For anyone who doesn't know what Little Italy is, it's a Little Italy is a pizza shop in Belfast that it's weird that it's like a magic thing because you can't find it when you're sober. Like, I've never been able to find Little Italy sober. I go to where I think it is and there's just a blank building, and then I have 6 pints and I'm like, does anyone go to Little Italy? Because there's no gap in it. Like, no one's ever said Little Italy. You know what I mean? Like, you have a couple of pints and you're like, why all of a sudden I'm in Little Italy? You know, if you don't think about where you're walking when you've had a couple of drinks in Belfast, you by default end up in Little Italy. Mom, mate, we'll go fucking Little Italy. And for some reason, it's the most complicated order system in the world, but you always manage to get what you need. Little Italy, I love it. Why did I start saying that? Oh yeah, because there's a sweetie van outside Little Italy, and like college, I don't know where it is. But I went to it one day, just on my way through city centre. I was like, maybe I'll get some Dolly mixtures. And there was like an old guy there selling the sweets. And I went, all right, mate, can I get some Dolly mixtures? And he's like, what, like how much? And I said, I don't know, 50p's worth? And he goes, that's not how it works. Like, do you want a pound of sweets? Do you want, like, you know, an ounce or whatever? And I was like, I'm 30. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not from Victorian times. So how about I just give you the money and you give me the equivalent? And he like gave me the dirtiest look, took my money, closed the van door, and then just opened it. The hand came out and he's like, there you go. I was like, I'm so sorry I don't operate in prehistoric measurements. I'm sorry. Yeah, because at the end of the day, you took my pound. You know what I mean? He wasn't like, that'll be a halfpenny. And I know, it always sounded like people were skint when they're like, you know, it was a halfpenny for an egg or whatever. No one ever bought anything for like 50 halfpennies. It was always a single measurement of that. Fucking Victorian people were definitely weird. Like I remember on Radio Ulster, me and Dave used to do a thing called Quacks, where it was like Dave would give me a fact and I would decide whether it was true or not. And one thing he said was, and I don't know where he got this from because it wasn't true, but he said that Victorian parents used to dress their children every day as miniature adults. And I have always, like, it wasn't true, but it's always stuck in my head as like, that's something those Victorians would do. Because they're weird, like all Victorian people were weird, like all the men had those moustaches, like they wore suits like day to day. And that's okay if you're like an 83-year-old pensioner who wears a suit every day. In fact, I like to see it. Sometimes though, it's, put on like you could wear like a tracksuit or whatever, some guys like, every day, Mr. Winters there puts on a 3-piece suit to go down to get a pint of milk, and you're like, I know, for fuck's sake, just put a tracksuit on, man, and just fucking relax and put on a wee velour tracksuit and head. Like when I'm old, there's no way I'm wearing a suit. Like even now, this is me. Like I'm wearing jeans today. This is me formally dressed for lockdown. I just wear shorts every day. I'm like a loyalist in the mid-90s, just wearing shorts. That's all loyalists did, wore white shorts. And then the late 90s, early 90s, they found the fashion brand Replay. And that's niche. That's so niche. But there's 4 listeners going, I 100% know what you're talking. Like, I get it. Replay, there was another brand as well. All the loyalist guys wore it. Replay and...
Crosshatch?
Nah, Crosshatch came later. There was like Replay and there was this other one. I can't remember. But, by the way, when I have a tea on the podcast, I tell you where I get it from because we record in Hollywood. We're in the heart of Hollywood right now. What a great place to be. We get tea from, we've had Homebird, we've had Bay Tree, we've had Edge, we're Coffee Yard today. And what I appreciate there is, I went in, you guys know I can't have gluten, I can't have dairy, or I will die. And instantly, and I walked in, and they do this ciabatta turkey thing with cranberry. It's like their big thing. Like, Dan, you're not from Hollywood, but me and Mike are, and like you don't know about this, but next time you come down, you have to get it. It's ciabatta with like a couple of wee sausages, a couple of thick slices of turkey, and then a bit of cranberry. And I went in, and I was like, could I just have a couple of slices of turkey? Now, that is a very Victorian thing to do, to just order slices of turkey. But yeah, I loved it. So shout out to Coffee Yard. I mean, they charged me for it, but I had to... Sometimes I laugh when people say a price after they hey, you joker. But no, I'm only joking. But yeah, what is disrespectful is I was really late to the podcast, and then I just proceeded to sit and eat slices of turkey like like Henry VIII, essentially. And I pointed out to the guys, I was like, listen, the reason I'm doing this, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't an emergency, because last week, here's the thing, I have my breakfast at about 7:30, I have my lunch at like 12, 12:30, dinner at 5:30. Same routine roughly every day. Last week, we were doing the podcast, or the week before, and I didn't have lunch until I hadn't eaten at about 2:30, and I was on my way home, and I thought my Crohn's disease was playing up, and I thought I was having a flare up. I was going to have to go to hospital. Went home, lay down on the sofa. My wife was like, are you okay? I was like, no, I think I'm getting sick again. I also thought maybe I had COVID. And then my wife was like, when did you eat last? I was like, 7 this morning. She goes, do you want me to make you something? I was like, I probably won't be able to eat it, but yeah. And she made me like a tuna sandwich, and I had 3 bites of it, and I was like, oh right, oh no, it wasn't Crohn's, it was actually hunger. And that was when I realised I realised I'm living a good life, because for at least a decade, I didn't remember what it was like to feel hungry. So, because people go, stay hungry, that's a good lesson for life. It's not, because I was hungry for about 30 seconds and nearly died. And by the way, that was the granny clip. It sounded for a second like there might have been porn preloaded on my phone.
Breathe away.
Just so people know. So before we get on, it's a silly podcast today. There's a couple of things I want to do. I say I'm going to watch a couple of videos. But before we move on, manscaped.com. Manscaped been a Tea With Me sponsor for a couple of months now. We love it. We're grateful for that. Manscaped is the perfect gift coming up to Christmas, because we all know that during lockdown we let some things go. You know, a lot of us put on weight. A lot of us grow like crazy hair. And that's kind of what Manscaped are going after. Because you can get a haircut in your head, but it doesn't mean that the haircut down below is looking fresh. Manscaped have the Lawnmower 3.0, which is a precision trimmer for your down below. It's something that I use, Dan uses, Mike doesn't use yet, but we're going to get him sorted out. Although, to be fair, it is a Victorian myth, kind of, that, you know, if you do consume a lot of chocolate, it actually takes care of your pubic hair anyway. So I can see right now, he's bald as a coot down there. It actually looks like the lead singer of Right Said Fred is doing a concert and I'm watching on a drone. It actually looks like I'm MI5 doing surveillance on Johnny Adair in the late 90s and he's just standing in a field by himself. With nothing on but a pair of replay sliders. Hold on now. Guys, we got some news there on something that will become clear to the wider world at some point soon. But let's just say it's good news for everybody. We're going to keep eating. It means turkey for everyone. All right? Turkey for everyone. Dan, make a note. That's the name of this week's podcast. Turkey for everyone. Manscaped.com. Manscaped, Lawnmower 3.0. You shave down there. It's the best shave you'll have. I kind of do need to use my product again quite soon because I would let things slip there. But they have loads of other stuff as well, like ball wipes. Now, they wouldn't have had that in Victorian times. They would have been, you know, someone would go, oh, if you want to have fresh balls, or they wouldn't have called them, if you want to have fresh marbles, they would have said, you know, cut a potato in half and you know, rub it under your uncle's arm and then rub it on your pubis area and you will have health down there. No, manscaped.com say, how about you just use our product? Go to manscaped.com, use the code teawithme for 20% off and free shipping. Cracking Christmas idea, so check it out and have a look. What is it?
Turkey for all.
Turkey for all, yeah, okay, right. So I want to watch something basically. It's been doing the rounds. It's a video of a sports reporter in Ghana, and he's reading out the Premiership football results. Now, I've been sent this from a lot of people. I've seen a couple of seconds of it, but I was like, let me not watch the full thing until we do the podcast because you will get my natural reaction to it. So I'm going to guess that the guy maybe knows like the main teams, but there's teams in the Premier League that, like, if you only followed football a bit, you wouldn't know, for example, West Bromwich Albion, you wouldn't know Sheffield United. And I feel like he has done no research into this. And also, let me just prefix this by saying that he knows pretty much all of it. But if you said to me, I don't know, what does anyone know what language they speak in Ghana? Ghanaian? Probably not, right? Probably just disrespectful to our one Ghanaian listener. But I did French in school for so long. I did Spanish for so long. I can't to learn a language is amazing. So what I'm saying is, if you ask me to read out the football scores on Ghanaian television in potentially Ghanaian, I would not make a good stab at it. So this guy has done 1,000,000 times better than me. Also, let's just point out he's wearing a tuxedo for absolutely no reason. So here we go.
Now, football. English Premier League.
The funniest thing to me about the whole thing is he has a bottle of Fanta Orange on the table. Could you imagine? This is the BBC News at 10 o'clock. Mark Austin with a bottle of Dr. Pepper. It undermines the news. 7,000 people have died. you could have a glass of water, but you can't have a big bottle of Fanta. Just chug halfway through the news. Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna guess he doesn't know all the football teams, and he hasn't researched this beforehand, so he just has a go. And I commend anybody who has a go.
Everton 1, Manchester United 3.
Killed it.
Crystal Palace 4, Leeds United 1.
Good. Solid.
Chelsea 4,
Sheffield United.
Sheffield United 1. West Ham 1. United 1. West Ham 1. Fulham 0.
Loved it.
Sunday.
West Bromwich Albion.
West Bromwich which? 0. Tottenham Hotspur 1.
He puts 4 Spurs on Tottenham Hotspur. This is like any time I have to read when someone texts in the radio showing their names in Irish. I'm like, oh.
West Bromwich which? 0.
It's like he falls during it.
Tottenham Hotspur 1. Leicester City.
Wolverhampton Wanderers.
No. Manchester.
I mean, what a complete legend. Like, there's nothing I don't love about that. The fact that he's got the tuxedo on, he's got the bottle of Fanta, and he's like, let's just get into it. Yeah, that guy's a hero. What a guy. And I hope that, like, yeah, I would hope that, like, companies, like, say, Paddy Power, for example, or, like, big sort of sporting companies need to get that guy to do some work, because I just love it. I love that he could have sat down and taken a minute and gone, like, can I just double check what this is here? But he was too busy drinking down his Fanta. He's like, fuck it, it'll be all right in the night. And it was not all right in the night. I enjoy that so much. Let's do some listeners' questions. So, yeah, we've got some on Twitter and some on Instagram. Let me plug the Patreon as well. While I'm loading these, patreon.com/teawithmepodcast. We're doing a live episode once a month over Zoom. Everyone who supports it gets a link like an hour before we record. Lineups have been insane. We had Ryan McMullen, Mickey Bartlett, Jamie Lee O'Donnell for the first one. For the second one, we had Dave Elliott. Was that the second one? Yeah. Dave Elliott, Kieran Bartlett. And for last night's, we had Owen Colgan from the Hardy Bucks and Aaron McCann. And then and we just throw it open. There's a chat bar open during it. People listening can send questions in, react to what's happening. Everyone's bouncing off each other. Last night was dynamite. It felt... There's always a thing I have of, like, because I'm not actually going out to do any work or performing. I always get, like, on the day, like, not stressed out, but I'm like, flip, this is coming. Like, I get worried about it or something. Then whenever you do it for like 1 minute, I'm like, this feels like doing a gig again. And especially when, like, because I haven't seen Aaron McCann, and who I would see regularly. I hadn't seen him in so long. So we were just giddy. It was so much fun. So cheers to everyone who got involved. Patreon.com/teawithmepodcast. Me and Dan do an episode once a week. You get a bonus episode on a Monday. I have a hour-long stand-up special that's exclusively on Patreon, and we're going to be adding loads more stuff to it. So do check that out. Patrick Neal says, talk about racing pigeons in light of this. And he sent me a link to a news story. Belgian racing pigeon New Kim sells for a record 1.4 million in mystery bidding war. I mean, if you had asked me the going price of a pigeon, I'd have said about 40p. A female racing pigeon from Belgium called New Kim has been sold for a record 1.4 million to a mystery Chinese buyer at an online auction. Well, let me tell you, see if you took that Chinese guy to like Royal Avenue, he'd have a heart attack. You would go like, listen, come to Mecca. You know what I mean? Because they love it. And the thing as well is like they're unique because they're Belfast pigeons. You know what I mean? Like Trafalgar Square, you run up the pigeons, they fucking shit themselves, fly away. You run up to a Belfast pigeon to shoot away and he's like, alright bro, what's happening bro? Who the fuck are you chasing, dickhead? Who the fuck are you chasing now? Fucking shaking your head, you twat. During a frantic 2-week auction, someone under the pseudonym Super Duper drove up the price. Super Duper and Hitman were bidding. This is a Sky News story. Super Duper got the bird and is said to be the same wealthy Chinese industrialist who already has male pigeon Armando, dubbed the Lewis Hamilton of the sport. There's a pigeon knocking about and people are going to listen. He's the Lewis Hamilton of pigeons. He sold for 1.25 million last year and is thought both birds may be used by the unnamed buyer for breeding. What the fuck is this market for like unreal pigeons? But what do they do? Why a racing pigeon? But like I don't think that's $1 billion industry. I think it's like 7 lads down the Newtonard Road who have a couple out the back. Everyone is interested in our pigeons, said Pascal Boggin again. I'm the Ghanaian football commentator. The Ghanaian football commentator would fucking wipe the floor with me when it comes to pronouncing stuff I hadn't seen before. Pascal Bodengin, head of the Belgian Pigeon Federation, who's a big Tottenham Hotspur Spurs fan. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that apart from the fact that I'm going to start catching pigeons in an ethical way and selling them. Rory Arkins, who'll win the Premier League, probably Liverpool, but I'd love it if a mad team like Aston Villa or Wolves won it. I would love that. Sean Webb, Christmas food, mince pies, yes or no? And why are they called mince pies? Is it not more of a chutney? If they were nice at all, we'd eat them all year round. Same for turkey. Turkey isn't great, but we eat it once a year. See also Christmas cake, totally rancid. Sean, that's a lot of hate speech there. The only thing I'd say about turkey is good. Turkey, I just had 2 slices of it with a little bit of cranberry, and I really enjoyed it. I don't go in on mince pies at all. I think mince pies should be left in a bygone era. I don't think we should still be eating mince pies in 20... Do you guys eat mince pies?
Yep.
But that, like, Mike said, yeah, and a fairly can't wait. Dan there fell back off his chair to nod at me with such vigour and enthusiasm. Do you have a business that sells mince pies? Dan's at artisanal mince pies. What do they taste of? It's not mince, sure it's not.
It's not minced meat.
It's fruit.
It's like spiced fruit. Yeah.
Nah, I don't know. Same for turkey. Turkey isn't great. Yeah, you wouldn't want turkey every week, but I had a turkey burger last night. I'm going to turn into a turkey.
So you've had it twice in 2 days?
Yeah. I'm going to turn into a turkey. Fergus, queuing for 3 hours to get into Primark and then buying a £3 t-shirt. Are these people the problem? I think it's one of those things where like people see it as like an experience going to Primark. You know, it's a bit of fun. You can go in with £20 note and come out with a new wardrobe. So people probably, it's massive as well. So people probably miss that, like walking around the shop, trying things on, holding it up. What do you think of this here? No, don't know why I get so camp when I go shopping. But are these people the problem? No, they're not the problem. The executive are the problem. I think, because I've read that on Facebook. I don't even know what an executive is, but I think that they're bad. I don't know. I just know that with like, I just know everybody queuing up outside Primark, you're not doing anything wrong by doing that, because if it's open, then why not queue? You want to go, you shouldn't be punished because you decided to go, because loads of people also decided to go there. you should have the fucking common sense to, at the minute, social distance and stay a little bit apart. But at the same time, you know, you don't want someone to beat you to that fucking Dr. Dre Chronic t-shirt. You know, you don't want someone to beat you to those Avengers slippers. So people are just trying to get in quick. Are these people the problem? No, they're not. Would I queue for 6 miles for a £3 t-shirt? I would not. Would I buy one online if I thought it looked cute on me? Yes. Sarah says, where's the best place to do a gig in? I mean, at the minute, I would gig anywhere, obviously, but the best place to gig in, well, I think we can talk about more in depth about this on the next episode. Maybe give time people to check it out if you want to go watch it. There's a documentary on at the minute. It's actually on Sky Documentaries. So if you have Sky, you'll get it, and it's called it's like The Comedy Store. It's a documentary about the Comedy Store in LA, which is the world's most famous comedy club. I watched the first episode last night. It is absolutely incredible, especially as a stand-up. It's so like bittersweet watching it, because you're watching the club that all these people came through, like Richard Pryor, Jim Carrey. I mean, there's that many. I can't think off the top of my head of specific ones, but everybody went there. And Robin Williams, so many. And like we went, me and Mike went. I've been a couple of times when I've been over stateside to the Comedy Store, and like the night we went, we paid something like $15, which is like, I don't know, 11 quid, 10 quid, and we saw maybe 10 acts, and of that 10, about 7 are like stadium comedians out there. You know, who was on? We were there. Joe Rogan, Chris D'Elia,
Bobby Lee.
Careful. Bobby Lee, who is by far the best. There was that many. Argus Hamilton. He features in the documentary. Argus Hamilton. It's so good. But as a comedian, it made me like, oh god. So I really do want to play the Comedy Store at some point in my career. The best place that I've done a gig in, purely for the feeling it gave me, was the Laugh Factory in Chicago, because it's probably like, it's probably in the next level of iconic clubs in America. Like the Comedy Store is like top level, but Laugh Factory is very, very, very good. And the one in LA is like one of the top clubs. I played in the Chicago one, which was brilliant and has the proper like laugh. I didn't think it would have that. Like they all have the same background, like the Laugh Factory background. I did a gig. I did 4 shows there. 2 were good. 1 I didn't do that well on, and another one I had one of the best gigs ever in my life. And some of the clips from that are on YouTube. So that was incredible. Best place to do a gig in. Downstairs in the Empire is a cracking venue. That used to be where the comedy club was there, and I did a gig there as part of a pilot for the guy who runs the Empire Comedy Club, Jackie. And you could feel like the magic of that place. So many go around my head, but I'd say the best place to do a gig is going to be the Comedy Store in LA. I don't know what the lay of the land will be like after this, but I'm not sure. And the other time where I've been like, this is mental, was the Stand in New York. Run by just the nicest guy in the world. That's what made it so good. Like the guy who runs it, just a complete gentleman, a guy called Chris. And that was brilliant, because the New York comedians wouldn't be as like household name as much as the LA comedians, but they would be considered like probably a stronger stand-up scene. So that was class too. Ryan got how long have we been going for roughly? 44. Ryan Galway says, who would play Arlene Foster and Michelle O'Neill in a movie? The Chuckle Brothers. Hey, Gaby. To me to you. No,
I think one of them's dead.
One of them's dead. Oh God, breaking news. Yeah, one of the Chuckle Brothers is dead. R.I.P. You hear there was a real incident at his funeral. They kept dropping the cuff. You'd have been waiting for something to happen at that funeral. You know what I mean? They're all like solemn and all carrying, and then you're just expecting the big one to like Banana skin. So sly, R.I.P. Who would play them in a movie? I mean, first of all, it's not a movie I want to see. I don't want to be reminded of anything that has gone on recently. But I would say, honestly, probably me and Dave. I'd say me and Dave would do a really good job. Morgan, what do you think of white Christmas trees? Yeah, we used to have a white Christmas tree in the house. Yeah. Yeah, white Christmas trees are fun. You know what I mean? They're not conventional. They're a little bit taboo, you know, but they're cheeky, definitely. Yeah, I like a white Christmas tree. I think it's a bit of fun. As long as you have a green one on the house too. If you can have a white one as your secondary one. Like, if you have just a white Christmas tree, chances are you sell drugs. But if you have a white one as like a wee backup one, 100%. Phil says, bit of an odd one. I know you're a football shirt fan. Would you take a retro Carrick Rangers shirt if I sent it to you somehow? It's a match-worn large 2003 Daily Mirror Trophy final shirt. Phil, let me see. Yes, 100%. I love Irish League football shirts. This will go in my collection. If this is a genuine offer, I would love it. I'll send you our like postal address, and that'll be class. I'll maybe wear it for a podcast, because I've got Newry City, Dungannon Swifts, Portadown, Cliftonville. That might be all I have, but like, I'd love to get a shirt from every Irish League club. That'd be class. Yeah, it's sponsored by Quality Hotel, which I like. I don't know if that was in Carrick or whatever. I don't know if it's still knocking about, but I would like to read some reviews. Yeah, mate, if that is a genuine gesture, that's really nice, and I would take that, definitely. Thanks. Hashtag send us stuff, definitely. Paul Doherty says, do you get road rage? I think you'd be too cool and calm too. Paul, thanks, but you're wrong, because I am a fucking bitch. I'm a demented bitch. But if I have passengers, you're right. I'm cool and calm. Well, it depends. Here's the thing. Let me rephrase that. If my wife and child are in the car, I'm Ned Flanders. Oakley dokley neighbourino, waving people through. Yeah, go ahead. Hey, you ran into the back of me. It's fine. I'll pay for it. But if I'm in the car with other males, that testosterone throws about and I get very, very angry.
Remember that old man that you abused on Old Hollywood Road because he was telling us about the diversion? And you wound down your window and started...
Right, yes. Yeah, I do remember that. Thank you. Here's the thing. I don't get angry, but I get like, excuse me, catty. I get catty. I get cat Slater. I definitely like here's the thing, right? The most common thing is people, I drive bang on the speed limit. If I'm in a 30, I'm driving 30. I'll not drive 25. I'll not drive 35. I'll drive 30. You always get a car right up behind you the whole way. So what I'll do first of all is I'll put the hazards on just for a second. I'm letting you know that there's a hazard, and the hazard is you're 0.3 centimeters from the back of my car. So if I were to brake for, I don't know, a fucking rabbit running across the road, you're going to go into me, you're going to cause an accident to me and yourself. Then what I'm going to do is, if you don't go back, I'm going to brake gradually, just a little bit, not in an unsafe way. I'm going to brake, and I'm going to take the speed down to, I don't know, from 30 to, I don't know, maybe 7. I'm going to go so unbelievably slow, and then after a minute I'm going to speed back up and go 30, and you're going to be like, fuck, I wonder what that was all about. You're going to get close again, and then I'm going to go, no, back down to 7. Come back down to 7, mate. And I will do this until you eventually get a lane that you can go around me. And when you go around me and you go to look at me like, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I'm going to be doing? I'm going to stick my tongue out at you. I'm going to blow you a kiss. Because it's a little bit of fun that I like to have if I can do it in a safe way. And me and Mike were driving somewhere recently. We were going through the Old Hollywood Road, which is the road that I was born and raised on. So I don't need anybody telling me what way to go or what's what in that part of the world. And there was a road closed sign I think we didn't know how far that went, or were we trying to turn?
No, we didn't know how far up it was.
We didn't know how far up it was going to go, and we didn't need to go the full way up the road. So I was like, maybe we'll be fine. This old fucking guy, this sort of, he was wearing a suit to go for a pint of milk. Now I think about it, this kind of guy, he wasn't an old man, but he was an older gentleman, and he saw us drive past, and he looked at us like we had two heads, and he goes, "Yeah, the road's closed." "Oh, I see the road closed sign, sir. I see it because it's massive." So I do a U-turn. I've got to drive past him anyway. I wind the window down. I say to Mike, "This will be enjoyable." And I say to the guy, "Is the road closed, mate?" And he goes, "Yes, there's signs up everywhere." And I go, "Oh, thank you." So that's what kind of driver I am. And then I waited till he was crossing the road. And I sent him up in the air. Philip Nesbitt, if you could make your own Money Toad advent calendar, what kind of surprises would there be for Christmas countdown? Ooh, turkey for everyone. Behind every door, there's a slice of turkey. That's a class advent calendar, but if you open your advent calendar in the morning, you wouldn't want that. You don't want turkey in the morning. Once as a novelty, okay, it's fun. Not every morning, definitely not. I said send me topics, and Neil has sent me a picture of a topic. Chocolate bar. Get a life. Get a life. Orla Graham. "Hi Shane, who will be looking after the children of Boytown over the festive season? Does Mummy and Daddy have joint custody, or could we have a family together for a Christmas special? Think of the child." Orla, I enjoy that message greatly. No, there's been a divorce. It was amicable. There can't be a Christmas special because Boytown was just left where it was left. And I think it's nice to go out on a good note, because if Mummy and Daddy get back together again, you want to see Caddy, you'll get Caddy. I'll scrab his face, he'll spit on me. You know, it'll go back to the way it was. So I think for the sake of Dave Elliott and I's friendship, that at the minute, quite frankly, is hanging on by a thread, I think it would be a lot better if we did not do a Christmas special. And also, I will be having the children, because everybody knows children need their mothers. Hannah Parker. Okay, it's not a podcast question. Cool. George Lightbody, who'd win the 100-meter sprint, Jim Allister or Sammy Wilson? Oh, fuck, you need to have long coverage for that, because it wouldn't be like a quick job. Sammy Wilson's the younger guy, but Jim Allister, I think, if he put his mind, like, Jim's so stubborn that I think if you were to say Jim Allister, like, you do a running race and he had a week to prepare, I think he's that single-minded that he would break the 100-meter, he'd break Usain Bolt's record. He'd be like, yes, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it for unionism. You know, so I definitely back Jim to do it. Sammy seems like a sort of guy who's never sprinted in his life, but he would do like a little, it's like the equivalent of a power walk, but he would work his arms. You know what I mean? Like Sammy Wilson you know, the sort of run, like, you'll see like a dad be like, "Oh, I need to go to the toilet here, drop my kids off," and then they'll do like a wee elbows out kind of like run with their tongue. Sammy Wilson would go at that speed just 24/7. Matthew Mernon, what date are you putting your tree up? I like to go somewhere around like 5th, 6th, 7th of December feels socially acceptable to me. But everyone's doing it earlier this year, so there's been some talks in our house, and the agreed time is, I think, the 1st of December. So doing it pretty soon. Your tree?
It's been up since second week in November.
It's been up since the second week in November?
Yeah. No. What date is it now?
Oh, I don't know.
23rd?
23rd?
It's been up for 2 weeks.
Wow. Was it just like COVID thing? You're like, fuck it,
Yeah.
let's have something nice to look
Makes
at?
a big difference.
You like it? It generally lifts your mood? Yeah. But then I worry that like you'd get by the time Christmas comes around and not be as special.
Because then everybody else kind of gets on board. I don't know. It's good.
Dan?
No.
No. Do you put a tree up?
No.
No. Not with your religious beliefs. You guys don't do Christmas, right?
No.
Bradley Todd says, no relation. What did you think of the results in the Prem this week, matey? I don't know why, I just find that a really funny question. And let's ask our Ghanaian football expert. What do I think of the results? I wanted Leeds to beat Arsenal, which they didn't. I watched the Man United match, it was crap. I'd prefer if Leicester had beaten Liverpool. I wasn't happy with the results this week. Patrick Quinn, how's the BGIC, Belfast Guy in China? How's the gym training coming along? You've made great progress so far. Have you had to make significant changes to your diet habits, or has it all come easily enough? Well, Patrick, I know you're a guy from Northern Ireland. You're just a Belfast guy in China. But because you're in China, whenever you said you've made great progress so far, I heard that in my head. I hope this is okay to say as Mr. Miyagi. If you need your car cleaned, I'll wax it. And that's not a code. Thanks for the question, man. The gym training is going really good, but gyms are going to close, which I think is the right decision because everybody knows that to beat COVID or to manage the symptoms better, you need to be fit and healthy. So I think it's a great idea to close gyms and anywhere where you could physically better yourself. I think that's a great call. Well, let's just stay at home and get unhealthier. So I'm enjoying the gym while I can still get to it. But then I kind of like training at home as well. So I've got to move. All my stuff is like locked outside in like a locker thing. So I need in my driveway. So I need to move it into the house, and then I'm going to work out in the house. But I don't know about that because then what if my baby's sleeping and I can't make you like to make a little bit of noise, obviously, when you work out. Like sometimes you have the headphones in, you don't know. Like whenever I even do a warm-up set, like whenever I curl like a bar with no weights on it, I still like that, when I'm in the gym, give it a every rep just come on, why does nobody really like me? I like to just get the rep noise in. So it's definitely weird. Changes to my diet, no, because I always have this weird strict healthy diet because of my Crohn's disease anyway, and that just suits the training. Has it come easily enough? Changing my diet kind of has, because I'm weirdly disciplined like that. But actually putting on like size and a bit of muscle definitely does not come easily enough. Like it's so difficult for me to not just be like a skinny guy. And at the minute I'm probably just a skinny guy with a little bit of muscle on him. So it doesn't come easy enough, but I like putting in the work to make it happen. What do you think of that? And thank you very much, Mr. Miyagi, for that. I was thinking of a line from Karate Kid, but nothing was coming to mind. Cobra Kai, I don't know. Evan Barry says, did you cry much after the Northern Ireland team lost to Slovakia? I didn't cry at all, but I was sad. And Evan, what I love is that I think you're just like a cool young guy, but Evan Barry sounds like the name of an 87-year-old guy who would be a backup ballroom player for the Wolf Tones. And I enjoyed that a lot, sir. Thank you for the question. Did I cry? No, but I was sad. Like a wee bit. When I was driving home, I was like a bit sad, because if Northern Ireland had gone to the Euros, hopefully I would have been there making some videos. So a little bit sly. Matt says, What's the worst place you ever gone for a shit cup of tea? Mine was Musgrave Police Station. I've never gone anywhere for a shit cup of tea. What can I get you? Alright mate, could I have a tea? And do me a favour, make it stinking. What way do you like it? Bogging. Yeah, Musgrave Police Station. Yeah. Oh, that's weird that they didn't treat you to a full barista experience. I don't know, I can't remember like a really... Tynecastle, Hearts Football Stadium. I had a fucking stinking cup of tea. Really bad. I'll rifle through these. L. O'Hagan. Is there going to be any more big comedy nights like the roast in December? Yeah, so by the way, let me point out the Shane Todd's comedy roast that we're doing in the Limelight isn't like our roast battle. It's just like a way of putting on a comedy. I thought that sounded cool. I thought we could make a nice poster. If you want, everyone could say a mean thing about me. That'll be fine. Is there going to be any more? I mean, I don't want to be, what's the word? I'd be happy to just do the ones that we have. We've changed the dates. Everyone should know that there's new dates. All your tickets are valid. But we do want to put on more, but that might just be greedy, if you get me. I just would be happy to do the shows that we have, but the idea is to, yes, add a couple more in different dates. So I'll post about that, of course, if we are able to do that. 2 more questions. Jason Moffat, your opinion on Radio 1 refusing to play the Pogues this year due to not wanting to offend people? My opinion is I like the song a lot. It's one of the only Christmas songs I actually enjoy. Do I think it should be played on radio? I think it should, but then I can...
Are they not just playing an edited version?
I thought it said they weren't playing the original version, meaning there was like a cover they were going to play or something.
No, they're just editing out a word or two.
I don't know. Is it a word that offends people? Yes. Is that like a justifiable? Yes. It's not like scumbag, you maggot, you cheap lousy faggot. Like a word that definitely people will have been called in real bad situations, hurtful word, but so I can say it should be played, the real full version of it, of course it should, but then like no, you know what I mean, like it's not a word that you're going to use in a hateful way really against me. So I don't know, my opinion on it is I like the song, I think it should be played, but then I could easily hear an argument for someone. Again, I don't know. To me, it's a song, it's music, and it's like, okay, that's just... Maybe it's the same thing for me where, you know, they'll be like, oh, we're editing this Disney film because this thing happened, and, you know, nowadays, and it's like, well, I think it's sometimes better to put the original thing, it's just my view, to put the original thing out, keep it the way it was, and then you can use that as a way to be like, but we don't do that anymore. You know, like deleting an episode of a sitcom because there was a stereotypical character in it or whatever. If you delete things or whatever, it kind of drives this like cool factor or popularity up of it in some people, where they're like, you know, if they're playing the edited version, so many people are going to be like, I need to get my hands on the real version, you know, and they'll get even more into that. Whereas if you just leave it, maybe it's less of a thing. I don't know. Mark Kyle says, do you prefer recording in a studio or at home with a wee blanket round your knees? I mean, if the camera pans down, I have a camera on my knees, right, or a blanket on my knees right now. Fuck that up. I prefer recording in the studio because it feels more like you're like at work. You know what I mean? I mean, at the house is fun. Like I'm going home now to like right now to do an episode at 4:00 at home. But I like doing it in my studio. It's more normality. It feels like this is the normal thing that we do. So I think we'll just do as many here as we possibly can. Try and bank some here as well. We can roll those out around in the run up to Christmas time if rules change. But yeah, I enjoy doing it more here because as well as that, if I do it in the house, I get distracted by something. You know, someone's making a great point on a Zoom, like a real serious interview, and then out of the corner of my eye, you know, we live beside a building site and I see a big builder's bum. And I'm like, how does he not know? How is the rain not getting into his bottom? You know, so whereas here it's just Mike there who's, I can see his bottom. In fact, I could say a lot more. If you could take us up, thank you. So yeah, I probably prefer, yeah, you're there. I don't know why I looked at it. But anyway, Sipper's been a real fun episode of the podcast. I love doing solo episodes as much as I love doing guest ones. I'm about to record with a guest right now at home, and I think you'll really enjoy that episode. I tried to get this guy for a while. We've got him. It should be a nice time. Patreon.com/teawithmepodcast, manscaped.com. Great Christmas present idea. You just go Tea With Me for 20% off and free shipping. This film by Big Mike, who's michaelfoster.tv. Michael Foster, middle name dot surname TV. So you can book him for if you want him to. If you've been learning kung fu martial arts over lockdown, you want to do like your own just for yourself. You want to do like a video of you fucking like kicking stuff in the back garden or whatever. speak to him. If you are, is there anything you won't do? No, he'll do it all. He'll do it all. Put it that way. And actually, Dan going to film some stuff for him recently that, let's just say, I hope he puts it on the Patreon, but I don't know if he can. Sippers, thanks very much. Hopefully also next week I'll have the arms of my chair fixed, because I don't understand how the screw works. Like, we bought this with the Patreon money, this really class purple gaming chair, but then I don't know how to put that in, so I have to go because I'm doing an episode with a really cool guest. So I don't know, maybe if anyone has the time they could have a look at this, because I certainly couldn't. And we've got this purple lead as well, which we got Patreon money. So Sippers, I'm out. Thanks very much for listening and watching. All the episodes go on YouTube too. If you want to subscribe to the YouTube channel, you can. If you want to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and all the podcast things, you can do that too. And it's a good time. Tell your friends. It's growing all the time. And that's always good when something's growing all the time. Victorian people are weird. Take it easy. Turkey for everyone. Trump 2020. I'm only joking about that, by the way.